You are not tired by accident. You are not anxious by accident. And you are not broken. The first 40 days after birth quietly decide how strong or fragile your body, mind, and emotions will be for decades to come. Ayurveda has warned about this for thousands of years, and modern mothers keep paying the price for ignoring it. This audiobook will show you why rushing, pushing, and bouncing back after birth steals your future energy, and how slowing down now protects your strength for the rest of your life. Listen carefully. What you do next matters more than you think. Chapter 1. The first 40 days are not optional. Here's the first thing you need to burn into your consciousness. Postpartum is not your recovery period. It's your foundation period. For thousands of years, Ayurveda has understood something modern medicine still refuses to accept. The weeks following birth aren't just downtime. They aren't a biological inconvenience you power through. They represent a narrow, irreplaceable window. A period when your body, your nervous system, your entire being exists in a state of profound openness. And that openness is listening to every choice you make, listening to whether you honor rest or ignore it, listening to whether you feel protected or abandoned to your own devices. Your body is recording everything. Here's what most women don't realize until it's too late. What goes unhealed during this window doesn't just disappear. What remains unstable doesn't magically stabilize on its own. It waits. It accumulates. It resurfaces. Not tomorrow, not next month, sometimes not for years. And that's precisely what makes it so dangerous. Western culture has sold women a toxic myth: bounce back. Ayurveda offers something radically different: build forward. The distinction matters more than you realize. After giving birth, your body isn't returning to some previous state of normal. That version of you no longer exists. There's no going backward, only forward, into a body that's being fundamentally reconstructed from the inside out. Right now, a new foundation is being poured, and you cannot rush a foundation. Ancient Ayurvedic texts describe the postpartum body using one specific word: open. Open physically. Tissues are soft, joints are loose. Open energetically. Boundaries feel permeable. Open emotionally. Everything touches you differently. The digestive fire is dim. The nervous system sits exposed. Your sense of identity feels uncertain, fluid. This openness isn't a design flaw. It's an evolutionary feature. But here's the catch. It only serves you if you protect it. Without protection, that sacred openness becomes dangerous vulnerability. And vulnerability, when repeatedly dismissed, transforms into something else entirely. Depletion, the slow kind, the silent kind, the kind that doesn't announce itself with pain today, but steals from your tomorrow. What goes unhealed now becomes the debt you carry forward. Listen carefully. You might feel capable right now. You might even feel surprisingly strong. Many women do in those early weeks. But Ayurveda issues a stern warning. Borrowed energy always demands repayment, with interest. When you skip rest today, you're withdrawing from tomorrow's account. When you force movement prematurely, your joints will remember. When you neglect proper nourishment, your nervous system takes the hit. The invoice arrives later, sometimes years later. It shows up as exhaustion that never fully lifts, as anxiety without obvious triggers, as digestive issues that become your new normal, as emotional brittleness you can't quite explain to anyone, including yourself. This isn't cosmic punishment. This is basic cause and effect. The body keeps meticulous records. What goes unhealed now gets carried forward. Period. Ayurveda never demanded that new mothers be productive. It demanded they be protected. Protected from cold air and cold foods. Protected from unnecessary stress. Protected from decision fatigue. Protected from the pressure to prove anything to anyone. Why such extreme protection? Because the postpartum body cannot defend itself the way a normal body can. It wasn't designed for self-defense during this phase. It was designed for one thing: to be held, supported, surrounded. When that doesn't happen, your body improvises, it compensates, it adapts. And compensation always costs more than proper care would have. You're standing at a crossroads. You can treat these first 40 days as optional, as a suggestion, a guideline, something to attempt if possible. Or you can treat them as what they actually are, decisive. Ayurveda doesn't mince words on this point. The first 40 days after birth shape the next 40 years of your health. Not metaphorically, literally. This is when your digestive system reboots. This is when hormonal patterns reorganize themselves. This is when your nervous system makes a fundamental decision. Is the world safe? Or is it threatening? Safety breeds resilience. Threat breeds vigilance. And constant vigilance will drain you dry. Most women assume postpartum problems develop months or even years after giving birth. Ayurveda says you're looking at it backward. The patterns establish themselves immediately, but the symptoms take time to show themselves. That's exactly why ignoring these 40 days feels so harmless in the moment. No alarm bells ring, no immediate crisis emerges, just quiet, invisible erosion happening beneath the surface. What goes unhealed now gets carried forward. Think about this. Postpartum is the only phase in your entire life when your body is naturally, biologically requesting that you slow down. Not hinting, not suggesting, actively requesting. It requests through bone-deep fatigue. It requests through heightened sensitivity. It requests through raw emotional openness. When you honor that request, stabilization happens naturally and quickly. When you ignore it, your body has no choice but to adapt by tightening, bracing, armoring itself. That armor becomes chronic tension. That tension eventually becomes pain. That pain becomes what you accept as just how things are now. Ayurveda never accepted that. It recognized it for what it is, completely preventable. This is precisely why the first 40 days are non-negotiable, not a luxury for privileged women. Not a wellness trend, not self-indulgent me time. Structural necessity. You wouldn't pour a concrete foundation and immediately walk on it. You wouldn't frame walls before the base has properly set. Yet modern postpartum culture asks, no, demands, that women do exactly that with their own bodies. Ayurveda says, stop. Slow down now so you don't collapse later. Protect now so you don't spend years trying to repair. This isn't fear-mongering. This is pattern recognition. Your body after birth isn't broken. It's incomplete. And incomplete structures require time, patience, and proper conditions to finish forming. What goes unhealed now gets carried forward. This is where real discipline enters the picture. Not discipline as deprivation or punishment. Discipline as fierce protection. The discipline to rest when every external pressure screams at you to perform. The discipline to accept help instead of performing independence. The discipline to refuse the cult of speed. This kind of discipline builds strength that actually lasts. You don't need anyone's permission to slow down. You don't need approval to rest. You don't need external validation to protect your future. You only need clear understanding. And now you have it. The first 40 days after birth are non-negotiable because they determine everything that follows. How much energy you'll have available in 5 years, how stable your emotional foundation will remain, how resilient your body proves to be when life gets hard again. And it will. This is the moment when small choices cast long shadows. Warmth or exposure to cold. Rest or relentless activity. Protection or cultural pressure. What goes unhealed now gets carried forward. Don't forget that. Because in the next chapter, we're going to dismantle the most dangerous lie modern culture tells new mothers. The toxic belief that rushing equals strength and that slowing down equals weakness. That lie has destroyed more postpartum recoveries than any other single factor. And it's time to kill it. Chapter 2. Stop rushing or pay later. Rushing after birth feels responsible. It looks strong. It sounds admirable. But Ayurveda calls it dangerous. Not because movement is bad, not because effort is wrong, but because timing matters. The postpartum body is not designed for speed. It is designed for repair, and repair cannot be rushed. When you rush during the first 40 days, the body does not keep up. It compensates, it borrows energy, it postpones healing. And postponed healing does not disappear. It waits. What is not healed now will be carried forward. Modern culture praises women who get back to normal. Ayurveda asks a different question. Normal for how long? You can move fast and feel fine. You can push through fatigue and function. You can override your body and survive. But Ayurveda is not concerned with survival. It is concerned with longevity. Rushing teaches the nervous system one thing. The world is not safe enough to slow down. A nervous system that does not feel safe never truly rests, even during sleep. That is how exhaustion becomes chronic. Speed after birth creates tension. Tension becomes habit. Habit becomes identity. You stop noticing how tight your body feels, how shallow your breath is, how alert you always are. Until one day, you feel tired without a reason, anxious without a story, disconnected from your own body. Ayurveda says this began earlier than you think. What is not healed now will be carried forward. After birth, the body is depleted. Blood, fluids, heat, and vitality have been spent. Digestion is weak. Joints are loose. This is not a problem. This is a phase. But phases require cooperation. When movement is rushed, the body tightens to protect instability. When decisions are rushed, the mind stays alert instead of restoring. When productivity is rushed, digestion weakens further. Rushing forces the body into defense mode. Defense mode is not healing mode. Healing only happens when the body feels safe. Safety is created through slowness, through rhythm, through predictability. When everything is rushed, nothing feels contained. This is why so many women say, "I never fully recovered." They recovered enough to function, but not enough to thrive. And thriving requires patience. What is not healed now will be carried forward. Rushing is often disguised as necessity. I had no choice. I had to. Ayurveda does not judge these realities, but it does explain their cost. When rest is skipped, healing draws from deeper reserves. When nourishment is rushed, tissues rebuild incompletely. When stillness is avoided, the nervous system remains unsettled. The body adapts. It always adapts. But adaptation under stress creates weakness, not strength. True strength comes from completion, from allowing a phase to fully finish. Postpartum is not a phase to power through. It is a phase to close properly. When you rush, the phase stays open. Open joints, open digestion, open nerves, open systems leak energy. What is not healed now will be carried forward. Slowness is not laziness. Slowness is intelligence. In Ayurveda, slow movement allows the body to remap itself. Hormones recalibrate, digestion regains rhythm, the nervous system shifts from vigilance to repair. Fast movement interrupts that process. This is why doing less now often creates more energy later, because the body finishes what it started. You have a choice. You can rush and feel capable now, or you can slow down and feel strong later. You cannot have both. Every choice for speed trades future stability for present performance. Every choice for slowness invests in long-term resilience. The body is not asking you to stop forever. It is asking you to pause briefly so it doesn't have to force you later. Forced pauses come as burnout, as illness, as emotional collapse. Voluntary slowness prevents all of that. This is why Ayurveda insists on restraint after birth, not as restriction, but as preservation. Preserve heat, preserve energy, preserve calm. If you rush now, the body will remember. If you slow down now, the body will recover fully. What is not healed now will be carried forward. And now we must confront the next truth, one modern culture completely ignores. Speed is not the only threat. Cold is just as dangerous. Chapter 3. Warmth is medicine. After birth, warmth is not comfort. Warmth is medicine. Ayurveda does not treat warmth as a preference. It treats it as a primary stabilizer of the postpartum body. Because after birth, the body is cold. Not always to the touch, but internally, systemically. Blood has moved, fluids have shifted, heat has been spent. This loss of internal warmth creates instability, and instability spreads if it is not corrected. What is not healed now will be carried forward. Cold does not always show up as shivering. It shows up as stiffness, slow digestion, anxiety, and a feeling of being ungrounded. Ayurveda explains this clearly. Cold contracts and destabilizes. Warmth nourishes and contains. That's the key. When the postpartum body is exposed to cold food, cold air, cold routines, the nervous system tightens, digestion weakens, healing slows. Warmth does the opposite. Warmth tells the body it is safe. Safe to rest, safe to digest, safe to rebuild. This is why traditional postpartum care emphasized warmth everywhere. Warm food, warm oils, warm rooms, covered feet. Not superstition, strategy. The postpartum body cannot regulate extremes. It needs support. Cold showers shock the system. Raw foods burden digestion. Cool air pulls heat away from organs that need it to heal. Ayurveda does not ask how something feels in the moment. It asks what it does over time. Over time, cold steals vitality. What is not healed now will be carried forward. Warmth works because it slows things down. It keeps energy from scattering and allows the body to focus inward. Postpartum healing is inward work. Warmth strengthens digestion. Strong digestion rebuilds tissues. Rebuilt tissues stabilize energy. Everything begins with heat. This is why warm, simple foods are emphasized after birth. Not heavy, not stimulating, just digestible. Cold food puts digestion on defense. Warm food invites cooperation. Defense wastes energy. Cooperation restores it. Warmth is also emotional medicine. A cold body creates a restless mind. A warm body creates a settled one. Many postpartum emotional symptoms are not psychological failures. They are physical signs of instability. Warmth grounds them. This is why oil massage matters after birth. Not for luxury, for containment. Oil seals the body. It keeps warmth in. It calms the nervous system through the skin. After birth, boundaries feel thin. Warm oil thickens them again. What is not healed now will be carried forward. Modern advice overlooks this. It prioritizes activity. Ayurveda prioritizes containment. Contain heat. Contain energy. Contain emotion. When nothing is contained, everything leaks. Leakage looks like fatigue, emotional swings, and restlessness. Warmth corrects this quietly. Not instantly, but steadily. Consistency matters more than intensity. Warm meals, covered feet, protected lower back, avoiding cold exposure. Small actions, long-term consequences. You have a choice. You can treat warmth as optional, or you can treat it as structural support. Every choice for warmth preserves energy. Every choice for cold increases workload. The body already works enough. Warmth reduces effort. Cold demands compensation. And the body remembers how hard it had to work to survive. What is not healed now will be carried forward. Warmth creates rhythm. Rhythm creates stability. And stability is the foundation of strength. But warmth alone is not enough if the body never truly stops, because healing still requires stillness. And that brings us to the next truth. Chapter 4. Rest is the real recovery. After birth, rest is not a luxury. It is the treatment. Ayurveda does not see rest as passive. It sees rest as active repair. Because healing does not happen while the body is doing. Healing happens while the body is still. After birth, the body is rebuilding organs, tissues, hormones, and the nervous system all at once. This is invisible work, but it is demanding. If rest is interrupted, the work slows. If rest is skipped, the work fragments. If rest is postponed, the work remains unfinished. What is not healed now will be carried forward. Modern culture treats rest as something you earn after productivity. Ayurveda reverses that logic. In postpartum, rest comes first. Productivity comes later, if at all. Why? Because movement uses energy. Thinking uses energy. Decision-making uses energy. Even social interaction uses energy. And energy after birth is limited. Every action pulls from the same reserve that healing depends on. When that reserve is overdrawn, the body does not stop healing. It downgrades it. Instead of restoring fully, it repairs just enough to function, enough to stand, enough to respond, enough to get through the day, but not enough to feel whole. What is not healed now will be carried forward. Rest allows the nervous system to exit vigilance. Without that shift, the body stays in alert mode. Alert mode prioritizes survival, not repair. In survival mode, muscles stay tense, digestion stays shallow, sleep stays light, emotions stay reactive. You may be lying down, but the body is still working. True rest is when the body feels safe enough to let go. Ayurveda creates that safety through predictability. Regular rest times, minimal stimulation, few demands. Not boredom, containment. When rest is protected, hormones recalibrate, blood replenishes, tissues absorb nourishment instead of rushing it through. This is why sleep when the baby sleeps is incomplete advice. Rest is not just sleep, it is reduced input. Too much noise, too much light, too much conversation, too many decisions. All of it keeps the nervous system online. Rest means fewer choices, fewer expectations, fewer roles. After birth, identity needs rest too. Many women return quickly to managing, organizing, and caretaking beyond capacity. The body complies, but the cost accumulates. Accumulated fatigue does not disappear. It embeds. Years later, it shows up as burnout, hormonal imbalance, anxiety, or a feeling of never fully recovering. Ayurveda traces this back. What is not healed now will be carried forward. Rest is also how digestion recovers. Digestion cannot strengthen while the nervous system is overstimulated. Weak digestion means weak rebuilding. Weak rebuilding means instability. Rest stabilizes everything. This is why postpartum traditions restricted visitors, conversation, and responsibilities. Not to isolate, but to preserve. Preserve energy. Preserve focus. Preserve internal order. You are not meant to entertain while healing. You are not meant to host while rebuilding. Rest is not selfish. Rest is strategic. When rest is deep enough, energy returns naturally. No forcing, no pushing. When rest is shallow, energy must be manufactured through adrenaline. Adrenaline feels like strength until it collapses. Ayurveda prefers regeneration over stimulation. One restores, the other depletes. You cannot stimulate your way into recovery. You must allow it. What is not healed now will be carried forward. This does not mean endless bed rest. It means intentional stillness. Periods where the body is not performing. Moments where nothing is expected. That is when healing finishes its work. The body is not asking for forever. It is asking for enough. Enough rest to close the phase. Enough stillness to reset the system. If rest is denied now, the body will demand it later. Later looks like exhaustion that sleep doesn't fix. Later looks like emotional fragility. Later looks like chronic imbalance. Voluntary rest prevents forced rest. This is why Ayurveda insists rest is the real recovery. Everything else supports it, but nothing replaces it. And yet, even rest cannot work if nourishment is inadequate. Because the body cannot rebuild without materials. Which brings us to the next essential truth. Chapter 5. The digestive fire determines everything. Ayurveda is brutally clear about this. If your digestion is weak, nothing else matters. Not the herbs, not the massages, not the rituals. Because digestion is not just about food. It is about assimilation. It is about integration. It is about whether your body can turn nourishment into strength. That's the key. After childbirth, your digestive fire, Agni, is fragile. Not broken, not gone, but easily extinguished. And most women unknowingly put it out themselves. Cold foods, raw meals, rushed eating, skipping meals, emotional stress while eating. Each one seems harmless. Each one weakens the fire just a little more. You have a choice. You can eat to fill your stomach, or you can eat to rebuild your life. Ayurveda does not ask you to eat perfectly. It asks you to eat intentionally. Warm food, soft textures, simple combinations, regular timing. This is not about restriction, it's about protection. Because when digestion fails postpartum, depletion follows quietly. You may not feel it immediately, but months later it appears as fatigue, brain fog, mood swings, joint pain, hormonal imbalance. What is not digested now will be carried forward. Weak digestion creates toxins, ama. Ama clogs channels. Clogged channels block nourishment. Blocked nourishment creates disease. This is not philosophy. This is physiology. Your body just performed the most demanding act of creation possible. Now it needs fuel it can actually use. That means eating foods that feel almost boring. Soups, stews, khichdi, cooked grains, healthy fats. Boring foods rebuild extraordinary strength. That's the truth no one sells you. You don't need variety right now. You need reliability. Eating at the same times every day trains your nervous system to relax. Relaxation improves digestion. Better digestion restores tissue. It's all connected. And let's be clear about something. Digestive weakness postpartum is not a personal failure. It is a predictable consequence of birth, but ignoring it is a choice. You don't need anyone's permission to take digestion seriously. You don't need to justify warm meals. You don't need to explain why you eat simply. You are not being difficult. You are being intelligent. Every warm, intentional meal tells your body, you are safe. You are supported. You can rebuild. That message matters more than any supplement. So here is what you do. You eat warm food, always. You eat slowly, even if it means fewer bites. You stop eating when distracted or emotionally overwhelmed. You choose simplicity over stimulation, and you stop apologizing for it. Because what is not digested now will be carried forward. Digestive fire is not glamorous, but it determines everything that follows. You stabilize digestion, and energy returns. Energy returns, and hormones stabilize. Hormones stabilize, and the mind calms. That's the order. You don't heal from the outside in. You heal from the center outward. You have a choice. Ignore digestion and chase symptoms for years, or protect Agni now and build a foundation that lasts decades. That's the discipline. You've now crossed the first threshold. You understand something most people never do. Postpartum is not a break. It is not a pause. It is not something to push through. It is a foundational window. You've learned why the first 40 days are not optional, why depletion is silent but permanent if ignored, why rest is not weakness, why nourishment must be warm, slow, and intentional, why digestion determines everything that comes next. This is not theory. This is cause and effect. What is not healed now will be carried forward. If you stop here, you already know more than most. But knowledge alone does not rebuild the body. Structure does. Consistency does. Discipline does. In part 2, we go deeper. We move beyond protection and into reconstruction. How tissues are rebuilt layer by layer. Why strength must return slowly. How hormones, emotions, and identity are restored, not forced. And how to emerge from postpartum not just intact, but stronger. This work continues.